Hello, everyone. Today's case takes us to Newport Beach, a stunning city in Southern California known as one of America's wealthiest. With its pleasant climate and gorgeous scenery, it's become a paradise for relaxation. But that beauty comes with a price, literally. The average home here costs over $1 million, making it a playground for the elite. It's a sunny October 10th, 2012. That afternoon, a private justice pulls up to an upscale neighborhood, dropping off students from a private school. Parents usually wait to pick up their kids, but today, 3 boys are left standing alone, no parents in sight. The eldest tries calling his mom and dad, but no one answers. A kind neighbor notices and offers to drive them home. When they arrive, the house is eerily quiet, too quiet. The neighbor, sensing something's off, takes the boys to her place, feeds them dinner, and tries calling their parents again. Still, no answer. Worried, she calls the police. The police arrive quickly at the address, a $2.5 million 2-story villa. They begin searching the house. The first floor looks pristine, everything neat, no signs of a break-in. But when they head upstairs, the scene changes. In the home office, they find the safe wide open. No cash inside, just some financial documents, passports, and personal items. Then, in the bathroom, they stumble upon chaos, shattered pieces of a vase in a jar, blood splattered around the bathtub drain and on the walls. It's clear a struggle took place. The police check the garage and notice the family's SUV is gone. Security footage from the neighborhood shows the SUV leaving around 1:30 p.m. that day. The police suspect a violent altercation, possibly a murder, but without a body, they can't be sure. Then, a new development. A call comes in from the homeowner, Peter Chadwick, and it's coming from San Diego, 100 miles away. Peter's story is wild. He claims that on the day of the incident, he brought a painter named Juan to the house to do some work. While Juan went upstairs to check the walls, Peter stepped downstairs to grab something. His wife, Lim, was taking a bath upstairs. Moments later, he heard her scream. Rushing up, he found Juan attacking her in the bedroom. Juan, wielding a small knife, threatened Peter, forcing him to comply. According to Peter, he was made to move his wife's body to the back seat of the SUV and drive to San Diego, a border city between the US and Mexico, under Juan's orders. Once there, they met another man, Chen. Juan and Chen allegedly transferred Lim's body to a pickup truck, planning to dump it in Mexico. Afterward, they abandoned Peter at a gas station where he made the call to the police. The 911 operator listens to Peter's story, but something doesn't add up. It sounds off. Why would Juan, a random painter, attack Peter's wife, someone he didn't even know? The timeline is messy too. If Peter brought Juan to the house, why was Lim bathing upstairs? And why would Peter let Juan go upstairs while his wife was in the bath? Most baffling, how did Juan allegedly kill Lim just seconds after going upstairs? The story's holes are glaring, and the police are starting to question Peter's account. The police are growing suspicious, and they keep Peter on the phone as long as possible to buy time for local officers to reach him. Just before he can hang up, San Diego police arrive at the gas station. Peter doesn't resist, doesn't lash out, doesn't even seem distraught. He's eerily calm as they bring him to the station. The officers notice scratches on his neck, a bite mark on his arm, and dried blood on his hands. When questioned about his wife, Peter clams up and demands a lawyer. His behavior only deepens their suspicions that he, not some mysterious painter, is responsible for his wife's death. Investigators start picking apart Peter's story, and it's unraveling fast. He claims Lim was killed around 11 a.m., but neighborhood security footage shows his SUV leaving 2 hours later, with only Peter inside, no Juan, no one else. The police scour footage from the area where Peter says he met Juan, but there's no sign of him. No suspicious vehicles, no trace of this supposed painter. Juan, it seems, is a ghost. When asked about the scratches and bite mark, Peter mumbles something about a scuffle with the painter, but can't provide any clear details about the fight or his injuries. Then, the police find a suitcase in his SUV, packed with men's clothing, thrown together in a hurry. Would a kidnapper really give their victim time to pack a bag? It's absurd, and the police aren't buying Peter's story anymore. That same day, they arrest him on charges of first-degree murder. 7 days later, near where Peter was apprehended, detectives discover a large dumpster on a secluded hillside. Inside, they find an elegant wallet belonging to Lim, containing her permanent resident card and $10,000 in cash. There's also a green rug in the dumpster. When they unroll it, Lim's body tumbles out. The discovery feels almost guided, as if someone wanted it found. The dumpster was scheduled for pickup the previous Thursday, the morning after Peter's 911 call, but a dispute over fees delayed the collection, leaving the body there as a critical piece of evidence. Forensic analysis paints a grim picture. Lim endured a brutal struggle before being suffocated and drowned. If Juan were real, there's no way he could have done this in mere seconds or minutes, as Peter claimed. Peter, alone in the house, is the only one who could have committed the crime. But the question lingers. Why? What happened between this couple in their lavish mansion to lead to such a horrific end? Peter Chadwick, 48, a British-American dual citizen, is a wealthy real estate investor. His wife, Lim, 46, originally from Malaysia, came to the US in the 1980s to study at Arizona State University. It was on that campus where she met and fell in love with Peter, and their romance quickly led to marriage. Both came from affluent families. Peter's father was in real estate, and Peter followed suit, investing in rental properties that allowed him to provide for his family without working long hours. Lim, despite her American education, grew up in Malaysia and wasn't fully versed in US culture. After their 3 children were born, she embraced her role as a homemaker, while Peter handled the family's external affairs. At the time of the incident, their kids were 14, 10, and 8 years old. To the outside world, they were the perfect couple, rich, with plenty of time to enjoy life and raising 3 well-mannered children. They hosted lavish parties at their mansion, took their kids on global vacations, and lived a lifestyle that sparked envy. Friends described Lim as kind, cheerful, witty, and warm, a beloved figure among neighbors and peers. Peter, on the other hand, was quiet, reserved, and carried an air of mystery that left people curious, but beneath the polished surface, their marriage was crumbling. The cracks started with financial troubles. Peter's real estate investments had hit a rough patch. Though they maintained their extravagant lifestyle, Peter wasn't as wealthy as he appeared. Things got worse when Lim discovered Peter was having an affair. She stumbled upon a list on his computer detailing expenses for an abortion in California, massage services, and the names of divorce attorneys. Close friends said Lim would break down in tears, confiding how poorly Peter treated her. Peter, meanwhile, admitted to others that he wanted a divorce but held back, claiming he wanted his kids to grow up in a loving, intact family. By 1 or 2 years before the murder, any affection between Lim and Peter had vanished. Lim's life revolved around her children. Her account passwords were all tied to their names, a testament to her devotion. Just days before the incident, she was helping her youngest with math, taking her 14-year-old son out to eat, and planning for Thanksgiving, showing her careful, responsible nature as a mother. But she was also preparing for a new chapter. With little work experience in the US and a life financially dependent on Peter, Lim had been quietly transforming. Over the past 2 years, she lost weight, started wearing makeup, dressed more stylishly, and spent more time dining and traveling with friends. She was shifting her focus from her family to herself, reclaiming her independence. Then came a humiliating blow. Lim discovered Peter had contracted a sexually transmitted disease, likely from his infidelity. This revelation pushed their already fractured relationship to the breaking point. A few neighbors recall hearing Lim's piercing screams the morning before the murder. At the time, they brushed it off as just another marital spat, never imagining the horror that would unfold next day. Despite the mounting evidence pointing to Peter as the prime suspect, the police make a surprising move. They release him on a $1 million bail. He's required to surrender his British and US passports and show up for monthly court hearings. Peter relocates to his father's home in Santa Barbara, but it soon becomes clear that letting him out was a grave mistake. In January 2015, Peter fails to appear for a court hearing. When police visit his father's house, they learn he's vanished, and no one knows where he's gone. A relative mentions Peter once talked about heading to Seattle. In his room, investigators find 2 books about evading the law and changing identities, clear signs of a plan. Peter's escape is meticulous this time. He drains his bank accounts, pulls cash from multiple credit cards, and takes off with $1 million in cash. He also leaves a trail of misdirection, browser histories showing searches for fleeing to Canada, a plane ticket to Seattle, and queries about living in Mexico. They even discover he used a fake identity to slip through an airport. Security footage from January 9, 2015 shows a taxi pulling up to his parents' house around 11 a.m. The driver says he was carrying a female passenger who headed toward the airport, but soon changed into men's clothing. That person was unmistakably Peter. Instead of boarding a flight, he lingers at the airport for 6 hours before taking another taxi and disappearing. That same day, his phone goes dead. Later, police find it discarded in a landfill. From that moment, Peter cuts off all contact with his family, including his 3 children. The police quickly add Peter to the international most wanted list, launching a manhunt across the US, Canada, and Mexico. But 3 years pass with no trace of him. In 2018, desperate for a break, the authorities switch tactics. They create a crime blog, publicizing Peter's personal details and offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to his capture. His story spreads like wildfire. Hundreds of tips pour in, and one of those leads finally gives the police what they need to track Peter down. On August 4, 2019, after over 4 years on the run, federal police finally catch Peter near Puebla, a city in southern Mexico. He's been living in an upscale villa community for white expatriates in a small town, blending in by dyeing his hair black and growing a beard to look younger. When they search his place, authorities uncover a stash of fake IDs. Peter's even been posing as a SHIELD agent to dodge local police. During his years in hiding, he's used cash to stay in luxury hotels, switching to new ones whenever a passport is required. To his new acquaintances, he spins a tale that his entire family died in 2014, tied to the mysterious disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, which only adds to his enigmatic aura. Back in 2016, Peter starts a romantic relationship with a local woman named Claudia in the town of Pascualino. One Monday in May, he, Claudia, and her sister attend a concert. On their way back, a car accident kills Claudia, and her sister ends up in a coma for 15 days. Claudia's family is pressured to sign a legal document absolving Peter of responsibility, but her mother insists the document is fabricated and that Peter is somehow tied to her daughter's death. After the incident, Peter bolts, resettling in another small town. There, he takes a low-profile job cleaning at a cafe, living in constant fear of being recognized. Eventually, when money runs low, he makes a desperate call to his family for help. That public phone call gives police the location they need to nab him. It's not until February 2022, nearly a decade after his wife's death, that Peter, now 57, admits to killing Lim. In the end, he's sentenced to 15 years in prison for second-degree murder, with a minimum of 12 years before he's eligible for parole. Some argue he should also face justice for the Mexican woman's death in the car accident, but that case never makes it to court. It's hard to predict the future, isn't it? A marriage between 2 people from distant countries spanning decades, a family of 5 that seemed so perfect gone in a single night. Those poor kids, caught in the wreckage of it all. What do you think of the sentence? Does it feel too lenient for the devastation this killer caused?
A tragic story unfolded in a small county in Sichuan, where a woman skillfully built a criminal empire, from her initial steps to becoming a powerful crime boss. However, the satisfaction derived from power and wealth led to unforeseen consequences. Yi Rongmai was born in 1965 into an ordinary family in Zhejiang County, Sichuan Province. Among her many siblings, she was the 9th child, earning her the nickname Jiomei Z, 9th sister. As the youngest in the family, she was adored and pampered by her parents and older siblings. Growing up in such an environment, Mai developed an arrogant, willful, and domineering personality. Under the strict supervision of her school, she frequently caused trouble and refused to study. Consequently, she dropped out of elementary school before graduating and returned home. From then on, she roamed the streets, befriending gangsters and delinquents. A turning point in life. In 1987, at just 24 years old, Mai met Huang Jian, who who was 2 years her senior. Jian had recently been released from prison, and his handsome appearance and muscular physique quickly caught Mai's attention. This mutual attraction led them to become a couple. By 1996, Mai recognized the lucrative potential of the entertainment industry. Leveraging their connections, they borrowed 100,000 yuan and opened a karaoke lounge named Golden Dream in the Southern Development Zone of Zhejiang County. At that time, it was common knowledge that young women were an indispensable part of karaoke lounges. Mai fully understood this and spared no expense to recruit beautiful, attractive young women to work there. Initially, these girls were hired solely to entertain guests by singing and dancing. However, after a month, Mai realized that the lounge's revenue was insufficient. Thus, she contemplated expanding services to include prostitution. The girls refused, having been assured upon employment that their roles would be strictly artistic, not involving any sexual services. Faced with their resistance, Mai's sinister nature began to surface. Having never experienced such defiance, she devised a malicious plan. Mai tricked the girls into drinking a beverage laced with drugs. Unaware of the danger, most of them fell into her trap. However, 2 clever girls, Ling and Su, secretly spat out the drink. Unfortunately, Mai discovered this and ordered her henchmen to restrain them, forcing them to consume the drugs. Once all the girls were addicted, Mai coerced them into serving clients, threatening to withhold drugs if they refused. Those who attempted to resist faced threats of having their supply cut off. Under Mai's threats, the girls not only received no wages, but even the tips from customers were confiscated under the pretext of covering drug costs. During this period, Su and Ling, unable to endure the humiliation, attempted to escape twice but were recaptured by Mai's henchmen each time. They were severely beaten and ultimately forced to submit. Thanks to these illegal activities, Golden Dream flourished. However, success also bred envy. Zhao, a rival in the area, harbored deep resentment towards Yirong Mai. He hired thugs to sabotage her lounge. When Mai saw the shattered glass strewn across the floor, she was furious. She immediately called 2 of her friends and spent 10,000 yuan to purchase 2 guns. Armed with knives and hammers, they stormed Zhao's lounge, smashing everything in the hallways, destroying doors, and even breaking television screens. 2 staff members were injured during the attack. Eventually, Zhao trembled with fear and knelt to beg for Mai's forgiveness until her anger subsided. These henchmen remained with her, becoming her accomplices and helping manage her operations. From then on, Mai established herself as a crime boss in the region. After earning her first fortune from the karaoke business, she began to diversify her ventures. The Red and Black Tea House. In October 1996, Mai invested 300,000 yuan to open a tea house in the bustling central district of Zhejiang County. In reality, this was merely a front for illegal gambling activities. Concealing these unlawful operations, Mai amassed a vast fortune through gambling and high-interest loans. In October 1997, a man named Chun from Neijiang, who was in the clothing business in Zhejiang, couldn't resist the lure of gambling and visited Mai's large tea house to play. However, after just a few rounds, he lost all 10,000 yuan, which was meant for purchasing goods. In an attempt to recover his losses, Chun borrowed an additional 17,000 yuan at high interest from the gambling den. Whether due to bad luck or possible cheating, he soon lost the borrowed money as well. As Chun prepared to leave in disappointment, Mai's men intercepted him. Since Chun was from another province, Mai feared she wouldn't be able to recover the debt if he left. Thus, she ordered her henchmen to detain Chun at the tea house. They forced him to call his family and demand ransom money. Upon hearing the news, Chen's wife, Li, though furious, knew rescuing her husband was the priority. After much effort, Li managed to gather only 6,000 yuan. Unsatisfied with this amount, Mai refused to release Chun and continued to hold him captive. Unexpectedly, Chun seized an opportunity when the guards were inattentive and managed to escape. However, his family remained vulnerable. Mai immediately ordered her men to kidnap Chen's wife, Li, and even seized the family's TV and refrigerator as collateral. Desperate, Chin's mother had no choice but to borrow more money. Eventually, she gathered 11,000 yuan and handed it over to Mai. Realizing that Chin's family could no longer pay more, Mai reluctantly released Li after 58 days of captivity. Upon releasing Li, Mai threatened to kill her entire family if she reported the incident to the police. Terrified after 2 months of imprisonment, Li did not dare to take any action, longing only to return to a peaceful life. As a result, this illegal abduction quietly went unreported. At the end of 1997, a man named Jean visited the tea house to gamble. After losing all his money, he borrowed 10,000 yuan from Mai at high interest. Even after repaying a total of 15,000 yuan, including interest, Mai deceitfully instructed her henchman, Chu Leiji, to force Jean to sign an IOU for 40,000 yuan and detained him at the tea house for 4 days and 3 nights. Enraged during his captivity, Jean frequently cursed Mai. Infuriated by his insults, Mai forced him to sign another IOU for 290,000 yuan and ordered Leiji to escort Jean to borrow money to repay the debt. Fortunately, Jean seized the chance to escape and fled Zhejiang County, with no one knowing his whereabouts. On February 2nd, 1998, a man named Wang came to the tea house to gamble. During the game, he borrowed 2,000 yuan from Mai. When he failed to repay on time, Mai ordered Leiji to capture Wang and bring him back to the tea house. They beat him before coercing him to sign an IOU for 40,000 yuan, after which they released him. The terror in Zhejiang. Local residents were outraged by the brutality of Yi Rong Mai's gang, but too fearful to speak out, worried that even a small misstep could lead to disaster. However, some dared to stand up, such as Mr. Xie, a private entrepreneur in Zhejiang County. Mr. Xie had been a longtime friend of Yi Rong Mai's husband, Huang Jian. Mr. Xie had visited the tea house multiple times, but after losing nearly 100,000 yuan, he realized that Jian and Mai were deliberately setting traps for him. Upon this realization, Mr. Xie vowed never to gamble again. In conversations with friends, he also expressed his disdain for the deceitful couple. Unfortunately, his complaints reached Mai's ears. Determined to teach him a lesson, Mai ordered her henchmen to ambush Mr. Xie in an alley in Zhejiang County around 10 p.m. on December 26, 1997. The group attacked Mr. Xie with sticks and stones. Surrounded and unable to resist, Mr. Xie struggled to escape and ran towards Exinjing Street, where his brother-in-law, Lu Liangjun, lived. As he ran, he cried out for help. Lu heard his cries and rushed to assist. But before he could reach Mr. Xie, Jian approached with a gun. Jian raised the weapon and shot Lu in the left leg. Lu collapsed in pain, while Mr. Xie used the distraction to flee. Although Mr. Xie escaped, Mai had no intention of forgiving him. She repeatedly sent her henchmen to Mr. Xie's hometown, coercing his ex-wife, Tran, to hand over 150,000 yuan to settle the matter. Tran, having never faced such threats and unable to gather the demanded sum, was driven to despair. After days of harassment, she tragically hanged herself, her life claimed by Mai's cruelty. However, this was just the tip of the iceberg. Over more than 3 years, Mai and Jian's gang committed numerous violent crimes at the tea house, including kidnappings, extortion, illegal detentions, and murders. During this period, over 10 people fled Zhejiang for safety, more than 20 were killed, and 3 were forced into suicide. Their illicit gains totaled millions of yuan. Yet, due to their ruthless and covert methods, and the public's fear of Mai's power, few dared to report them to the authorities. Mai's gang terrorized Zhejiang for years, but as the saying goes, crime doesn't pay. A shocking shooting incident, known as the Zhejiang 519 case, exposed the full extent of Yi Rong Mai's crimes. On the night of May 18, 1999, Mai and Jian ordered their henchmen to capture a man named Yi, accusing him of stealing their gold. They took him to the tea house and assaulted him. In retaliation, Yi's friend, Sun, led a group to the tea house to confront one of Mai's henchmen. When Mai learned of this, she decided to teach Sun a lesson. Around 2 p.m. the following day, Jian and his henchmen ambushed Sun on his way home. As Sun appeared, one henchman shot him in the leg while others attacked him with knives. The ambush happened swiftly, and Sun collapsed in a pool of blood. The Zhejiang County Police launched a thorough investigation, forming a special task force. After more than 50 days of diligent work, they gathered evidence of Mai's gang's criminal activities. Around 2 a.m. on July 10th, police surrounded Mai and Jian at a tea house in the city. Realizing the situation was beyond control, Mai told her husband to distract the police while she escaped through the back door. Knowing survival was unlikely, Jian decided to hold off the police. As he reached for his gun to resist, the officers shot him. Meanwhile, Mai successfully fled through the back exit. Despite escaping, she remained in Zhejiang, unwilling to abandon her empire. She repeatedly called Mr. Zong, the owner of karaoke lounges, threatening him and claiming she would spend 600,000 yuan to hire assassins to kill the task force officers. Mai's plans ultimately failed as Mr. Zong ignored her threats. Forced to leave her hometown, she lived in hiding. Yet, justice caught up with her. 2 years later, Zhejiang police received a tip that Mai was hiding in a village. Acting swiftly, they conducted a covert investigation. They discovered that apartment 402, Building C, was occupied by a local named Chu Weikong, who had recently married a woman from another region named Yi Yin. Upon hearing this, the police suspected it might be Mai. To verify the woman's identity, they conducted household registration and family planning checks on all floors from 1 to 4 of Building C. When they reached apartment 402, they requested a photo of Yi Yin under the pretense of verifying household registration. Upon receiving the photo, the police were surprised as it looked completely different from the image they had of Mai. Yi Rongmai had short hair, while Yi Yin had long hair, and their appearances were notably distinct. At this point, the police considered they might have the wrong person. However, adhering to the principle of leaving no suspicion unchecked, they used technical methods to compare the photos. After numerous checks, they confirmed that Yi Yin was indeed Yi Rongmai, who had been evading the law for over 2 years. Justice served. At 9 a.m. on July 21st, a team of criminal investigators and local police surrounded the village. 6 armed officers stormed the apartment, arresting Mai, who was utterly shocked by the turn of events. To evade capture, Mai had not only changed her name, but also undergone cosmetic surgery to alter her appearance, explaining why the police hadn't recognized her sooner. Following Mai's arrest, her gang members were also apprehended. On October 25th, Mai and 7 other gang members were publicly sentenced. According to the law, she was sentenced to death, while the other 7 received life imprisonment or fixed-term sentences. On January 17, 2003, Mai was escorted to the execution site. With the sound of a single gunshot, her criminal life came to an end. Yi Rongmai, spoiled from childhood, developed an arrogant and fearless personality. She committed numerous crimes, driving 3 innocent people to their deaths. In a society where greed and power can erode humanity, this case reminds us that no crime can remain hidden forever. Mai's violent acts, kidnappings, and extortions left an indelible scar on many lives, and her ultimate punishment was inevitable. This concludes the story. What are your thoughts on Mai and her terrifying actions? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your support motivates us to produce new content every day. For now, goodbye and see you next time.